stage.
A very good morning, everyone. I'm reasonably certain that 90% of the audience here has attended one or more fintech sessions in the last year or two. And so I don't want to make this another fintech session. So let's actually start with some history instead. That'll be a little bit more interesting, I think. Did you know 1958, American Express actually launched its first credit card? The first credit card, and that allowed for staggered payments and spending before you actually paid for things. 60s, we saw the ATMs. 70s was electronic stock trading. 80s was the mainframe computers. 90s was the internet and e-commerce companies. Do you see where I'm going with this? Basically, fintech or technology disruption in finance is not really a new thing, right? Like, then what is this big fuss, and why are we, all talking about it now? And why is this the nth fintech session that you all are kind of bearing through? I think the answer to that question is in the theme that SET has set out this year. The future is now. What do I mean by that? Basically, how far we have come in technology, every next step is exponentially bigger and faster, and the impact is exponentially higher, which is why we are venturing into completely uncharted territories. And it's like, we are driving a car in the fog. What we are trying to do in this panel is create a GPS navigation system. So I would very much like to hear from our esteemed panelists here who are actually the formulators of these changes and who are framing that GPS to navigate which is the next turn that could be just around the corner that you need to take. Thank you so much for joining us for the panel today. Let's start by just getting your thoughts on what is the next big development that you think is just around the corner and people are like completely driving unaware towards it. Maybe we can start with.
Okay, thank you. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, given what happened today, I think everyone talking about technology is coming and banks have to adapt. And in fact, what we see today is now everybody is not just the bank, all the companies that have consumer base or interact with customers. They want to have the so-called platform. Whatever it means, doesn't matter. They want to build a platform. The next thing, if they could have, they want to have their own wallet, right? Everyone wants to have one wallet. And then everyone wants to do payment. So for me, so this is the existing landscape, the chaotic. Everyone wants to be everything for everyone, okay? So the next things that I think first, and then probably Thakorn and Kukkong may add, I think the next thing is that how to make use of these things. And then also unsort the chaotic. Because now everyone wants to build their own ecosystem, the small one. We also have our ecosystems. Our bank, each customer, everyone have their own ecosystems. And then we compete with someone outside of Thailand with even bigger ecosystems. And they're going to come in at a small ecosystem, and they can springboard, and then they may transform the way we think, the way we look at the market right now.
That's a very interesting viewpoint. I mean, the next big thing for Thailand is actually facing a much more open market, a much more open competitive landscape. Right. I mean, a very, very fair concern, right? Yeah. Thakorn, like what is the next big development that you are excited about?
I don't know whether it's touching on the landscape change, but what popped up on my mind is two things. It's about blockchain and AI. These two is going to change the landscape and the way the banking runnings, and perhaps every company that's having the data or technology have to touch on these things. So if you were to ask me what would be the challenges or big things that's going to happen around the corners, I would bet all of the money with AI and blockchains. That would be my view.
The point is, like, AI, we all talk about it so much, but I think we'll discuss this a little bit more in detail in the later part of the session, like what exactly are we doing with AI, and what are the use cases and how far along are we? Kukkong, what is your take on this?
I think the next big thing is whether you will interact directly with the bank or you interact with the bank partner. So I think in the old day, bank control everything from the back end to the channel, and then come to the fintech Thai. I think the consumer prefer the channel or interaction that they like, and I think the bank cannot offer all of them. The next big thing will be how bank going to deliver our product and service to the partner. I think that's going to be a lot more on how we're going to open up our bank. You heard about the open banking, thing like that. I think that will come, and we will partner all of the fintech, whether big or small. I think that is the direction of the bank. Otherwise, when you run into as you say, when we run into the fog, who is our GPS? Our GPS is those small fintech that they work closely with the consumer, and we will follow them. We will interact with them. We will partnership with them. Even we will invest in them. That I think that is the clear direction from the bank industry. We're not going to say that you or me, but we together.
Did you see how cleverly Kukkong has made the GPS responsibility passed on to the fintechs? Huh? That's a very interesting take. I mean, it's a very valid point in terms of interaction of the banks with their audience. We all talk about going branchless. I want to have a poll here of my panelists. How long do you think Thailand will take to go branchless?
Until my daughter grown up, okay? Because my daughter, she doesn't like to go to branch. But most people, probably like our audience in this room, probably you can't remember last time you go to branch. But if I ask you, what is your last time you open the banking mobile app, you may recall faster. So the sooner or the faster, I think it's probably difficult to answer. But the journey to that moment is more meaningful and it's quite challenging, right? How to balance both worlds, and then in fact it's the same world, but different consumer segments, different activities that we have to serve at the right channel at the right time.
Okay, so Wirawat thinks it's going to be a while. How about you, Thakorn? What's your view?
I think chance that we're going to go with the branchless, that's not going to happen. The branch will continue to be there, but the form factor of the branch will change. That was one thing. Maybe the number could be varied more or less. I think it depends. But yes, we see that the technology can help improving the way we're running the branch, that will be more effective. It doesn't have to be bigger, and not a lot of people require in one branch. It could be just a few, but technology, infrastructure had to be there, process had to be more efficiency, and it perhaps can be run 24/7. But I guess the branch still will continue to be there. Okay.
Kukkong, do you agree with that view?
Yes. When we talk about branchless, we have to looking at the whole population or the whole customer segment. I think no matter how long it is, I think we still need a branch to service some kind of people or certain segment. But the question whether we live with our branch, that I think is yes. And how soon it is that we can live without branch or without going to branch, I think is really near. I think 1 or 2 years. Even right now, I think people interact more with the branch. From our statistic, people use our mobile banking almost 25 times per month. It means that they come to branch every day almost every day. Digital banking, mobile banking, internet banking, or even ATM. If you include ATM, maybe they come to Ban every day. So I think with the new initiative about the digital ID, eventually customers don't have to come to the bank. Right now they have to come to the bank because of the KYC, AML to open the new account. With those projects, the National Digital ID, people don't have to come to the bank to open the new account. If they don't have to come to the bank to open the account or add on the new service, they can do it digitally. And by that day, I don't think that people need to come to the branch.
So I think the subtle messages, we still need branches, but very few people will be using that, and people will be using that lesser and lesser going forward. I think in that same spirit, I mean, just in terms of what is the next big change, what I want to highlight is that the whole mobile banking that we are focused on so much now, actually, the mobile phones becoming redundant, that change could come sooner than we anticipate. And don't look at me with surprise. OCBC and some of the Singapore banks are actually working on voice recognition-based banking services, and they are partnering with Google's virtual assistant to do that. So quite a bit of that is like coming through collaborations with fintech, which kind of moves us to the next topic that I wanted to bring to get our panelists' view on, is the relationship between the tech companies and the financial industry. Each of them seems to be stepping onto the arena that was like the home turf for the other. So banks are offering retail services, tech companies, e-commerce companies are trying to do payments. Actually, let's start with an audience poll here. I want to get a handle. What do you think? Who is going to win this war? Who is better positioned to win this war? Could you please raise your hands who thinks banks have an edge and banks are going to win the war? Wow. And who all think it's the tech companies that are better positioned to win the war? I need some more enthusiasm from the audience, please. Can I please get a raise of hands on tech companies? Okay, and how about the banks? Yeah, I see the support is dwindling. So what I want to really know is, like, what are the threats? What are the challenges that these tech companies are posing for you? Wirawat, can we start?
I think that they come with speed, they come with innovation, they come with thinking that the bank never think before. So the challenge is that if we could not incorporate, if we could not cooperate with them fast enough, that's a threat. And the strength that we have is that we have the customer base, we have the data, we have the trust that if we do not maintain or grow it, it will decrease each day as the customers interact less with us. So we still have that asset. So the threat is that, okay, they come with their strengths. So that's how we move along and then how we work with them. So at the end, if you ask tech or bank will win, in fact, at the end of the day, consumers will always win.
That's another interesting point. The consumers are definitely going to benefit from this change.
I think similar to what Wirawat says, the winning factor for the fintech or startup is that how fast that they can scale and how fast they can build the team to do on that one. Okay. But for the bank, the winning game is that how fast that we can innovate. Because we have the capital, we have a customer, we have information. It's just how fast that we can be able to use all those to improve the customer experience, improve productivity and efficiency. But if we were able to use or leverage the technology to leapfrogging ourselves, I think we still have a chance to win the game. But by winning, it doesn't mean that the fintech will disappear, but it's just the changing the way we compete to become collaborative, as Speaker Kukkong just saying. So the new ball game between bank and fintech, it becomes the collaborative game plan. And even among the bank, you will see that in the past, we perhaps compete with each other. But now, seriously, the bank will be more collaborative among each other to fight. Who we fight with? We fight with the big tech giants that one day they will come to this landscape. And if we're not pairing or partnering to each other, that's how we could lose the game.
I think I agree with Kun Thakorn that to fight or maybe to live and in the the that we how we can live with the tech giant is mean that the bank cannot innovate, make an innovation fast enough when we compare with the tech giant. But also the tech giant, they don't have the base that we have. So I think we also, the solution is that we're going to use their technology as well to serve or make an innovative product for our consumer. And also the tech giant will use us how to get to their prospect customer. I think it's a win-win. It's not a win and loss. So actually, you see that certain bank partner with the big tech giant to offer the payment service, something like that. I think we not see them as a main competitor. At the end, it's a consumer choice. Yeah.
I mean, what I want to hear your thoughts on is like, do you really don't think that the tech companies' customer acquisition is, they literally have not much to lose and they are much faster, so that complacency that the banks have that, oh, the customer is still with us, that could actually get you into trouble, like, or in fact get them into an advantageous position?
I think it depends on each landscape or each country, but look into the way that the fintech and startup, in particular on the fintech, they start with payment and perhaps go either lendings or money transfers and then wealth management on this, or personal finance on this guy. But it happened because the infrastructure of each country or each region is different. A lot of countries, the bank is unable to connect to each other, meaning that transfer money across the bank costly or cannot do. If you go to some country, you want to withdraw the ATM, you can only withdraw from the bank ATM, cannot withdraw from across the bank ATM. In Thailand, the context is different, but it's just recently changed. One day, the bank is just stand up and say, we're not going to charge you the money transfer fee anymore. Mm-hmm. And we lose a lot of tens or whatever billion baht on the revenue side. And for whatever reason that we did, either we think it through or we didn't think it through, but I think that's creating some things that prevent the fintech or startup to get into the territory of the bank. Because moving the money is costly in the past, but now there's no barrier on this one. There's no point that's why I have to have a lot of wallet in my mobile. And without wallet, without transaction data, you cannot go with a good lending because you lack
What I'm
data.
hearing right now is that actually the fintechs have beaten the banks to be more efficient. I'm sorry to say it, that's what I'm reading out of this whole equation. I mean, it's a very fair point. Like, how do you defend turf? You are the native incumbents of the financial industry. How do you defend your turf? Obviously, there is more collaboration within the banks that I'm seeing. From competition to collaboration, that's the first step. Yes. But what do you do exactly, Khun Kukkong? What do you do to defend your position?
I think we not try to, let's say, defend it, but we find the opportunity to serve our customer better, So that I said before, if the choice is that we have to partner with the fintech, even small or big, we will do it, to provide our customer with a choice. At least they have a choice. And also we have the choice to work with whomever that would like to partner with. So I think to directly compete, I think is quite hard right now because fintech, they have the big tech giant, they have the channel or whatever that they can do. So if they think that the best way to partner, so we will not directly compete, that will be good for both of us. But if we have to compete, I think we have to be faster, and also that we have to rely more on the let's say build the ecosystem among us. Maybe as Khun Thakorn said, that will highlight is a barrier or not so attractive for the big fintech or tech giant to come to this area because there is nothing there already. Okay.
So collaboration
Yes.
and speed,
Yes.
those are the things that banks are going to really buck up on,
Yes.
like to be able to position. How about K-Bank, the whole marketplace
Yeah.
move,
Okay.
it looks like an attack instead of,
Right. First thing I would like to touch on about the payment things, I think is the red oceans. And as Thakorn mentioned, so on itself, it's not much value to attract from it now. So it's only about the reduce the cost further and further. And up to a certain point, there's no further things that you should do much. So basically, it just becomes the foundation of everything. So the question is how we make value out of the information that comes along with that network of information. And that's come to the next challenge of the AI things. And with that, that's why if we want to stay relevant, it doesn't mean that we have to stay in banking or in money business. We have to be in customer life business. That's why you see a lot of banks moving beyond the banking. We're not just moving the money. We have to be at the life moment. If you're talking about e-commerce, we have to be in the marketplace. If you talk about the
Wirawat, my question to you is that it has been, the same customer base has been around forever.
Right.
Why is it that K-Bank got into the marketplace now? And what exactly are you trying to achieve with that marketplace? What is in it for the customer? How are you engaging them on that?
Well, because in marketplace, there are two things, right? The buyer and the sellers, right? So basically, what is the difference between our marketplace and other marketplace, okay? So we are the marketplace of the buyers. So basically, if you want to shop something, it's just like go to market to go to other market. But for us, with the information that we know, with the AI that we have, we will show what we think is fit for you. So that's the different thing.
Okay, so you're basically trying to entrench yourself into your client.
And so basically, we create the market. It's just your market. It's not market for everyone. We try to tailor the market just for you. That's the beauty of the AI. That's the beauty of usage of the information.
I see. And Siam Commercial's partnership with Lazada, like the lending relationships, and also you think all of that equation also comes in with your marketplace, like your lending customers are going to be one of the key.
Well, lending always be like the core of the bank at this stage, right? So it doesn't mean that we're gonna confine to our marketplace or whatever. So it's just we have to do everything. We will collaborate with as many partners as possible, but also, right, if customers shop on our platform, it will be easier and faster and more efficient for them to have credit with us.
Thakorn, like with all the new technology that's available at your disposal, how are you servicing your customers better? What are you doing to kind of, again, defend the turf?
I guess as Kukkong just mentioned, bank has transformed from the past it's banks, the branches, ATMs, and now internet banking, but now bank is on your mobiles. And the reasons why mobile is much more impact to the customer is because it's convenient. Its accessibility is at any time that you want. And with the new technology, the way we design the apps, UX, UI, so the experience that the customer have with the mobile banking is actually much better than in the past. So I think to answer your point, I keep mentioning that the digital transformation is aimed for two reasons only. One, to improve the customer experience, so you can retain your customer or you can acquire more new customer. As a result, the revenue will go bigger. The other aspect is just to improve the productivity and efficiency, so the bank can reduce the cost or operating expense to us. As a result, the bottom line will be better. The margin will be contained. So the point, doing whatever you want to do on the digital transformation, aiming for two things: improve customer experience, improve productivity and efficiency. That's the way bank is doing right now.
It's interesting how you point out, the tech transformation, so to say. I want to point an example of Charles Schwab. This was a traditional broker, and they decided to do robo-advisory. It was a new business completely. You know how they went about it? They did not open up one robo-advisory division and then work with it. They completely opened up a new company. And that was a complete, they basically created their own competitor within the firm. So this whole disruption, I mean, the whole tech transformation that we are talking about, do you think it's important to completely transform yourself now rather than, make small little changes and move slowly in that direction given the pace at which things are changing?
I can have these two gentlemen share as well, but I think for us, 3 years ago, we didn't know how to figure it out, how to cope with the change or dynamics of the landscape change, technology change. It's still a learning curve to us. If you were to ask me what the bank is going to look like next year, my answer is, I do not know. Because things change dramatically, and this could suddenly happen tomorrow, I do not know. But again, to reflect your answer, I think we're still learning. Whether or not what we're doing is actually, again, are we able to retain the customer? Are they still happy with us? Still happy with the service that we have? Are we using the technology good enough or fast enough to improve the experience that the customer have with us? That's how I would address whether or not we are riding along the journey of the transformative. I do not know.
Okay, let's poll the audience again on this. Do you think the pace at which banks have transformed onto digital channels, are you satisfied? A raise of hands for all the customers who think, yeah, banks are doing a fairly good job. They can do better, but they're quite there. Please raise of hands on that.
Please, otherwise the three of us will lose the jobs, please.
Fair enough. I think there is still more room to go. So I think the audience wants more. So Kukkong, how are you driving tech transformation at the bank?
Actually, we have internally, we built our new generation actually to do some kind of this innovative product or technology. Another thing that what we have is we have the InnoHub. Actually, InnoHub is what they say is a gateway to the fintech and all the new technology. We use the InnoHub to engage with fintech or startup, and also help our Buoluang venture, which is the VC, to invest into the fintech or new technology. So we both that we sourcing from outside and also improve it ourselves. To improve it ourselves is more on the productivity. We would like to, let's say, as Kun Thakorn said, we would like to reduce costs. But on the InnoHub side, we would like to make the customer experience better. We know that we alone, we cannot understand the customer need. So I think we resort to the InnoHub to look at all the fintech and new technology and feed back to the internal. So that's the way that we do it. Yeah.
A very transformative move. I mean, I would really like to draw the audience attention to what is going on here. Basically, I think even K-Bank, for that matter, in fact, right? You have created a completely different setup as well, and the kind of talent that you require for disrupting yourself, it's really hard to come by. What are you guys doing on that front? Please share with us.
In fact, our first transformation is that we take off the tie, right? and that's like a symbolic, right? We no need to be like a former bankers all the time, and that's not enough. And people don't.
Please, next time wear jeans.
Next time, understand. Next time we talk with Kun Thakorn, and next time we're gonna wear jeans, so we will be more innovative.
That is a tech adoption radar on the dress code, ladies and gentlemen.
So basically, that's why we separate another building, another team with another breed of people. They're not working for the bank. They're working for fun. They're working for what they love. So they dress whatever they want, but they have customers in mind, and then try to bring out the technology that is probably cool enough. And then we have a lot of bankers already. We can make use of it. And that's the way we work.
Yeah, I mean, see, banking at the end of the day is still very serious business, right? It's people's money, hard-earned savings that you're working with. You cannot be very frivolous about it. Yeah. But you still need that new blood, that fresh talent. What are you guys doing to attract that sort of talent into, the tech talent, and how easy or difficult has that journey been so far?
I love the session of the minister is pointing it out, the challenges of this country. The manpower is the most critical for all of us, not just for the bank, for every single industry in Thailand at the moment, because everyone has to get the IT resources, every company or every industry. And believe it or not, I don't think we have enough resources to do. I think China's, in a year, they have the new graduates from the computer science or the computer engineering, 8 million a year. For us, I think the new graduates is combining our faculty is around 400,000. And pretty much they're focusing on the social side, not the science side. So I think the critical will be on the resources. How we attack, perhaps we have to bid higher to get from the other sources. To homegrown, it will take years. And either we have to import or using the offshore, whatever way, we have to continue building the capability of the resources. However, some certain curve of the technology adoptions might not require a lot of resources. So there could be the technology that could replace in terms of the skill set that we require. In the past, we thought that we need to have the data scientists come up with the algorithms, but now we have the robot that can create the algorithm instead of the data scientist.
That's a very, very fair problem. Like a lot of friends, colleagues whose children are graduating now, they have no idea what to tell them. What do you become? What should you try to do, you know? When we were growing up, I'm an engineer by background. I knew that was the same, like that was the main path to go on. But now it's so difficult. Like, what exactly, what do you recommend, Kukkong? What if like people have kids who are, you know, graduating?
But at least on the Facebook and then social media, it says don't go send your kid to learn economics.
Sorry, guys. I think it's a little too late for a lot of us. But if you have friends, siblings, children who are about to graduate, please heed to this advice. What talent do you want? What talent do you want Thailand to develop?
Actually, I just read an article that the big fintech company, they not recruit the programmer anymore. Actually, they recruit the one that can do the job, you know. So they don't mind how you graduate from. So actually, if you have the kid, I think if whatever they would like to study is fine. But when they would like to come to the technology, I don't think the background will prevent them from coming to the technology. I'm in the IT for more than 30 years. My background is economic. So I transform myself to the IT.
Me too.
So it doesn't mean that the new young gen cannot transform themselves. I think, and also I think right now the bank also have the internal training program. If you would like to work in IT, we welcome all. It doesn't matter how you get your aid from. Actually, our old programmer, they come from the account. You know, they graduate from the account. Like at the old day, we don't have the computer science. So we recruit people from the account and train them how to program, and they will be good programmer. I think it can be trained. So that is how we do it. We try to build this highlight training program ourselves to train whoever that would like to come to the IT to become the IT.
Yes.
Don't have to
you know, as they say, knowledge you can, information you can gain.
Yes.
Wisdom you have to develop over the years. I think it's a very wise advice, you know, like if you don't have a programming background, doesn't mean you can't work in this industry.
Yes.
Those skills you can be trained on that. It's the approach, it's the attitude of the staff that kind of really moves the needle. But I mean, given the fact that there is very little, sense of what exactly is the skill set, like you are doing in-house trainings, but if the graduates, if you were to be able to access a talent pool, what are the skill sets that you want to hire and the talent pool that you want from Thailand? Wirawat, could you share?
I'm looking for the one that brave enough to fail, because we have a lot of graduates that good enough to dream. They dream very good, right? But at the end of the day, sometimes they don't put their hands on what the things that they dream of. They just say, okay, in 3 years he or she will get rich. And the way towards that wealth creation, it requires a lot of hard work. It's not everyone. And then you can have a good interview, and they can set very good future or things that they dream of. It sometimes makes sense, make no sense, doesn't matter. It's just whether they have ability to think in detail. I think big picture, I think nowadays, even in college in Thailand, they talk about, okay, ability to think, blah, blah, blah. But ability to execute, ability to go into details and execute what you dream of, that is what we're looking for. And they have to have passion as well, because a lot of time, what you dream and what you get at the end of the day is made different.
Yeah, I think the machines are there to do your work for you, but the challenges have changed, basically. Earlier, the challenge was to know. Now the challenge is to visualize, to see the big picture, to be able to execute on that big picture.
But I would add on a different aspect. So the good resources, of course, you can acquire. But perhaps we have to ask yourselves whether or not our organization is actually matched with them. Are we still running the way we were running the bank 30 or 40 years ago? If we continue doing that one, doesn't really matter. If the young talents that you onboard them to the bank, they won't survive. If you want to execute one thing, you still have to go to 6 committee to get 25 signatures. Then that's not going to be the culture that the young talents would like to work in the bank. Otherwise, they will go with the other company that's more agile, more less hierarchies, and then openness in terms of the ideas, this and that. So as an organization, we have to ask ourselves whether or not we change the way we welcome the young generation to work, speed, more agile, and be more creative, dare to fail. I think it's up to us as well.
No, actually, very valid point. I mean, talking about roadblocks, right? Like, what are the roadblocks in terms of being able to implement changes quickly? How you can kind of really bring in that talent pool is fine, but how do you retain them? So, I mean, just from a policy perspective or a regulatory lens, I want to draw your thoughts around that area. What are the infrastructure changes or the policy views that you want from the regulators to be able to, increase the pace of doing business, like, or be able to change things relatively quickly and really effectively compete with the tech companies?
My kid's still young, so I give this question to Kukkong.
To me, I think to change certain regulatory is take time, and is affect other things that we might not understand why this regulatory come up in the first place. So to me, I prefer to be more on the regulatory sandbox, or the thing that let we do it, and you monitor us. And if we do something that is not in line with what you think, then regulate us. Don't try to, let's say, oh, this is the thing that you have to follow. That is too rigid for us to move or to be innovative. Let us do something, monitor us, talk with us, and then if we do something that offside or something that will have the problem, so you can come in. I think this is a China model, and that way how they can go faster than the rest of the world.
That I think you've nailed the thing on the head. I hope someone from BOT is here today. Please give some more leeway, some more room to play. Let us at least exercise a little bit. Because the fintechs are running, and we really need that space. That's the message that the banks are giving out. Wirawat, you wanted to?
I think it's not whether we need the regulators to change or not. I think the regulators himself or herself, whether it's in any organization, in the regulators, in fact, they should have asked themselves what they want to regulate. And at the end of the day, by means of regulating the way we regulate in the past, there will be nothing left to be regulated. Because sometimes it's not banking, it's not security, it's common business. So what is really our business? But our business that defined by law 30 years ago is not the business that is well protected for the sake of the consumers, because when the law defines, it's not define the law to protect the players, it's defined to protect the consumers. But at the end of the day, this law, in fact, is not protect the consumers now. Now it's lock the players inside these boundaries and not change with the context, because consumers expect the bank, finance company, service company to do different things. And that thing, I think, it's better to everyone to review their roles, right? We also have to review our roles. We, as a bank, we set up like 60 years ago, and the roles change over time.
Yeah, I think we often talk a lot about collaborating between the fintechs and the banks themselves, the tech companies and the banks. The most important partnership, actually, in my view, is between the regulators and the ecosystem itself. I mean, the clear example that we've seen in Thailand is prompt pay. You know, a little change from the regulator can completely change the entire dynamic, right? Like we've seen the fee waivers from the banks and how things have moved up. And it's not like they've gone out, you know, crying about the lower returns in that aspect. They are working together with the regulator and marching ahead with this change forward. So I think it's a very fair cry for help that, you know, give us that space, give us the ability to make those changes as fast enough. And rather than having the Alibabas of the world or the big fintechs of the world coming in and eroding the market and you not even having any control. Thakorn, what I want to ask you is, how do you think, not just BOT, but regulators in general, how do you think they can transform themselves or change themselves in this new world? Like, do you think they need a change in talent pool? Do you think they need a little bit more active engagement with the fintechs? What do you think is required there?
But I believe that to compare with the other countries, at least in Thailand, the key regulators, I think there's a forward thinking. At least we have sandbox, but now the sandbox is focusing on the technologies part. Perhaps we need to talk about the policy sandbox, because a lot of policy, I understand that they cannot just open or change or feel free whatever you want to do, but you want to ensure that they have the frameworks and then control perspective. But again, the policy is not that easy to change. But if we're not changing, we won't know what could happen. So to me, just to reflect, either we have the experiments on the policy side, on this, either the sandbox thing. But again, I have to give the credit to the Bank of Thailand. I think they move forward or move ahead in terms of understanding what aspect that we need to change. I'm not sure I used the word correctly, but they use the regulatory guillotine to change in terms of the outdated law, outdated policy, and they are in the directions to move into the what we call the fast-moving space that the policy is not compromised with the world today. So they have to change. And the SEC, the OIC, and other, I think they are in the same direction, but the speed, if it can be a little bit faster, then it's going to help all the public sector or private sector much more.
A very fair point. So I actually look at regional banks, and we kind of engage with multiple regulators across markets. The common view is that, oh, look at how China has developed its fintech industry. I think the point that people miss out is that the Chinese banks were in a very different shape when Alibaba was formed. The services they were offering, just the efficiency at the banks was a very different level. And secondly, I think every market has its own nuance. The kind of information, the kind of controls that PBOC might have may not be the same that a lot of other markets have. And it comes at a different cost altogether. So I think instead of blindly comparing, oh, let's follow the China model, I think BOT's pragmatic approach has been quite helpful. And when I look at the ASEAN markets by itself, Singapore, Thailand are actually marching ahead in a lot of, driving in a lot of that change, which is quite progressive and quite interesting. Let's look at the regulation side of things from a slightly different angle now. You know, the digital world, as they call it now, what do you think the regulation is lacking in terms of you know, addressing some of the risks that this whole fast-paced technology adoption is bringing around? And I particularly want to highlight the issue with Facebook. how data can be misused or how that can be a threat to the financial stability of a country. Can I just get your thoughts around that? Kukkong, could you share your thoughts?
I don't know other industry sector, but in the financial sector, especially bank, I think on that point we tightly controlled by the Bank of Thailand. Right now, they even fast forward than the bank itself. They ask us to do more on the IT risk management and the cyber security. Actually, they're quite ahead in terms of how to show the bank that what is the world-class way to do about the cyber security and IT risk management. And they have studied a lot, and they come up with the model, and they come to audit us. And I don't think it's right now. From my point of view, BOT is more on the not just the auditor or supervisory. I think the knowledge in this area is quite very good, and we can learn a lot from them. In the old day, they might learn a lot from us, but right now we quite learn a lot from them. And I think new people from BOT is quite talented people. They recruit a lot of good people, also from the bank as well. They're not just from the beginning. They recruit the technology people from various industries to join them, and they have a really good, governance. I think on the bank side, I think we okay with the data privacy on the cyber security.
Wirawat, do you agree with that view?
Well, I think the highly awareness and the importance that all the banks, the Bank of Thailand, and everyone involved put on this matter is extremely high now. We have to confess that probably we don't know whether it's enough or not until we get attacked and then someone get our data out. And so it's been like a never-end mission, right? The people that involved in these matters, they have to come up at least to catch up with the dark world, and that's the real challenge. And I think the collaboration among the banks are the key, and the Thai Banking Association have a core team to working together on this one. So we are not compete to be the safest bank, because at the end of the day, we all gonna go down with only one of us going down, because it's all interconnected at the end of the day. So I think at least the infrastructure to work together, the mentality of all the banks that this area not for competition, this area for working together, and then we share knowledge, we share the learning, we share the error, and that I think is that the key. So the journey is still quite far, but I think we are in a good direction.
Yeah, I mean, collaborating among each other to enhance the systemic security is a very fair point. And actually, I kind of disagree with the view that we are actually quite okay on the security front, because if you look at the Facebook incident itself, it's not like they had any lack of talent pool, and it's not like they did not, they did not know what was coming. It's just that the extent of changes is so big now that even you are, however much prepared you are caught unaware. And we had a panel a month ago. One of the cybersecurity experts mentioned that across Asia-Pac, the investment in cybersecurity is not even 10% of where it should be. So my hunch is that if we don't really buck up our game on that, a meaningfully big incident related to cybersecurity or data privacy more so is just around the corner waiting to happen.
But trust me, bank is seriously on this issue, because we want to protect one thing that's still left and we still have the business to do, is the trust. If the trust disappears, bank is gone. So trust us, we try any possible way to protect the customer information, because that's the reason why banks still exist today, because of the trust that the customer give it to us.
There's the one up, ladies and gentlemen. Banks, trust. So fintechs, move to the banks. That's where the trust lies. I actually, the point where I'm coming from is customers are no longer just exposed to the banks. There is a lot of elements and chains. We had an expert from Swift comment that a lot of that problems that they have faced is not at the end of the banks. It's actually at some of the other nodal points. And Thakorn had mentioned something earlier when we were chatting outside. How many of you have actually clicked on a link on Facebook saying that it will predict your future, or it will tell you something interesting if you enter some of your details, or even like my name and my contact list? Can I get a show of hands? How many of you have clicked on the social media links that say they will predict certain things about you? I am pretty sure a lot of us have done that. It's okay, no one is recording. You can admit if you've done that so far.
I'm sure half of the audience
would have done that. Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I'm a pretty tech-savvy customer, if I can call myself that. And there have been instances when I said, fine, I mean, my name is anyways public. It's fine, I can grant Facebook access to that kind of information. But the predictive ability that the Facebook and the Googles of the world have developed as a result of our just clicking away to glory, okay? I don't really have much to hide. Let me just, get what I can get in return for my information. That sort of approach is really exposing customers to being manipulated, as we have seen in certain cases, like the cases that are going on in the US. And I think Thakorn had some very interesting view around that as well.
I think my message to the public or the consumer is that the information is actually, or the credential is on your hands. Whether or not you want to give it away is up to you. And most of the time, the issue happens because you release your credential instead of holding it. Even though they're asking you date of birth, citizen ID, PIN, password, OTP, but you just automatically release it so easily. As I mentioned to you, this a few days, maybe yesterday, someone posted on the internet and say, okay, there was the Facebook page that says, okay, I can predict your future. Give me your 6-digit PIN ATM. And then tons of hundreds of people just posting the 6-digit ATM pins on the Facebook. Think about this one, okay.
Exactly. So even if you are prepared, how do you protect them from this kind of
Even like these are real life stories, right? Nowadays, people in Thailand use Line, and the most favorite function is to get the stickers, right? And there are free stickers. Nowadays, sometimes you want to get certain stickers, you have to put your personal information, right? And I wonder, when people, because for me, if I come to that page, I just ignore those stickers. But I see some of my friends send their stickers in our chat room. So it means that someone, like Thakorn said, they want to give away.
But the incentive to give away your information is just unbelievable that people just, with the sticker, I can give my credential to you. It's just some programs that predicts my lousy future. You release all the credentials. So please protect your credential, please.
It's a very, very fair argument. And I think all of us, at least from this room, we have to take that back. Our data, our information is like gold. And it is really like gold. Because if you're sharing that, you are exposing yourself to a lot of threats. So ladies and gentlemen, next time you click on, okay, share my details, share my name, whatever, please think of us. Think twice. Don't go and click those links. Europe actually introduced a regulation called GDPR, and which is why I brought up this topic in this topic of the panel. Basically, it prevents the entities from collecting data without telling why they are collecting that data. So that is the viewpoint where I was coming from, that we really need to tighten some of these regulations around data. And my hunch is that those are just around the corner, basically. I just want to spend like a very quick time on, we talked about artificial intelligence earlier on. I want to hear what other use cases, because a lot of my buy-side clients, actually, they have indicated that a lot of this conversation around AI and machine learning is more marketing than real development. Banks are collecting information, but are they really able to use it to give, to improve certain aspects of their businesses? Kukkong, could you please share?
The thing that when just about previous discussion that about someone or our customer share their own credential, you might ask how the bank help the customer. Of course, we will help if we might refund certain things to the customer because they lost something. But actually, what we use the AI, we use it on the fraud detection. One that we understand your behavior, your pattern, even though you give your credential to other people and other people try to log in and pretend to be you, with the AI, we will know that, oh, this is something wrong with this log on, with this PC, with mobile, with this IP.
So are you already using that for fraud detection?
We work with the technology company to come up with the thing how to do this. But at first, of course, we have to monitor you first because otherwise we won't understand your behavior. That's why we would like to collect your data as much as possible to prevent this kind of thing. That is one thing that bank try to help our customer, even though they might have a pitching or accidentally give the credential out. That's the big one.
Okay. Thakorn?
I think we apply the AI into three main areas. One, the acquisition, marketing, and service. But most of the initiative or the project still doing is on the servicing side. I give you an example when we're talking about the lending business, because everyone can actually lending the money to the consumer, but not everyone can get the money back. So we use the AI to help us getting the money back smarter and more efficient. So with all the data we have, we're able to identify the risk of each individual that have a different. So if we have the limited time and resources, who should we go after? That's one of the idea. The other area is to write on Kukkong is that in the past, we might not know the behavior of the customer that giving the information on the application, in particular on the application form. For example, if you already know your monthly income, you just perhaps less than a few seconds, you should complete this field. But if someone spend more than 10 seconds on this field, type it, edit, erase, click it again, check it again, on this particular field, something wrong. Or you should know your mobile number. You type it, you change it, you edit it again, more than a certain time. That could showing something, which in the past we unable to detect. But with the AI, with this technology, we can actually prevent the fraud on these applications or the fake information. That's how we start doing a lot of AI. But again, AI can apply into all the varieties of the process or initiative. But it's just, if you have a good data and enough data, it can create the prediction, because AI is just to predict what will be the next action of the consumer is going to take.
Sure. So risk management is one element of it, but Dr. Virathai actually mentioned information-based lending as opposed to collateral-based lending, right? And I think AI kind of plays a role in that aspect as well. Do you think, what new information can you analyze that you did not have before and that you have now, that you don't need to collect collateral and you can lend based on that information?
Okay. I think, in fact, information in the bank, there's a lot. And just roughly, I think we use less than 5% of what we have, based on the traditional view of lending, traditional view of assessing, right? So now we explore many things, right? We use the information-based, or probably there are wealth-based, transactional-based lending. So there are a lot of things, and then our use case that we use is just like for lending, but we do not use it to analyze the credit, because that's the way we work for many years. So we use AI to find the one who need credit.
So now we are starting to use more of what we already had. Perfect. Right. I think we are almost out of time. I just want to take one quick statement from each of you. What do you want our audience to take away from this session? The one main thing that you want them to take away from this session? Khun Wirawat, let's start with you.
Try to fail once a week. If you not fail this often, you are in deep trouble.
Fail once a week.
I love the themes of this event because it already says the future is now. Because think about whatever you want to do and you haven't done it yet, you should start it today. Whatever you have put in the plans, your bucket list or whatever, you have to start acting it and change it. And now it's actually a good time that we start changing the way we work, the way we think, and the way we want to transform the country. So start it now.
Okay. No more future planning, guys. That's what the banks are telling you. Khun Kukkong.
So I would like to emphasize on the partnership and collaboration. I think that's the key, and we have to do it now. So you don't have to say that, oh, if I would like to invest in the fintech in Thailand, whether it have to compete with the bank or not or whatever. From the bank standpoint, we not going to be you and me. It's a we together that we would like to build the ecosystem for Thailand.
See, it's all us together. Thank you a lot, ladies and gentlemen. The one thought that I want to leave all of you with is human beings are not on top of the food chain because we had the biggest bodies or we had the most strength or we were more physically stronger than other animals. We reached the top because we were intelligent and ingenuine. Do you think this whole, the machine learning and artificial intelligence, the kind of intelligence that we are building into the machines, at some point in time, they will have that exact same advantage over us. So we are giving up control, but do think twice how much control you are giving up. Thanks a lot, and it was really nice engaging the panel today. Thank you so much for your thoughts and insights.